Hello, by this Tim here again, here another movie review. This time for Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, pretty much. Um, this film, I'll go ahead and say it. Like I haven't seen the Hunger Games movies in a very long time. I really don't remember them incredibly well. I remember enough about them to know that Donald Sutherland played the President Snow character and everything. But looking at this film here, watching this one, I'd have to say, from 1 to 4, I thought this was a pretty good flick. It's not a great movie. For most of it, it's kind of decent to good, or decent with good moments, but overall, as a whole, this was a pretty good prequel. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 4. The guy who plays the young version of President Snow, he does a good job. He's pretty much the main character of the film, and I will say that is one of the weak parts of the film, is that it kind of goes back and forth between the guy who's playing President Snow and the Rachel Zegler, I believe is her name, who's playing the new Snow White. It goes back and forth between him and her as kind of like the main characters almost. But for the most part, or at least it kind of feels that way dramatically at times. But for the most part, it is pretty much focused on, from beginning to end, the President Snow character, or the Snow character, I guess. Cornelius, I think, is his first name. But yeah, the actor does a good job. You got Viola Davis in here, who plays the person who puts the games together, and she's a bit cartoonish in her performance, but overall I thought it was good. It is over the top cartoony, but it's fine. It's fun performance. Like I said, the acting in this is good all around. The actual Hunger Games, though, that you think they're going to focus on in this movie, given the fact that it's called Hunger Games, it's really an afterthought in the movie. It's barely here. When it actually happens, it's not that eventful or that much going on with it. But maybe that was something in the other films where the actual Hunger Games were what the movies usually build up to. But here it almost feels like an afterthought in this one, kind of, at least to me. But yeah, you got this character named Lucy Gray or whatever, who's this one that can sing, so she's able to win audiences over and everything. And Snow comes up with the idea to let's make the audience actually root for one of the contestants. That way, they'll want to tune in more, because people aren't wanting to watch the Hunger Games because they don't want to see kids getting killed, which makes sense. So it's not really doing well. And they're obviously thinking about canceling it, which is something that the one of the dude in here, the guy named Hot Bottom or whatever, this actor, I recognize this actor. I know he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Elf with Will Ferrell. But yeah, he's here. He's you find out at the end he's actually wanting the Hunger Games to be canceled, and you find out he actually came up with the idea for the Hunger Games as a joke when he was drunk, and then Snow's dad took it to the officials and basically ran with it, trying to make money off of it or whatever, to claim it was his idea. Pretty funny. And he's basically wanting it to end, and at the end of the movie, he gets poisoned by Snow, so Snow can basically take control of everything, and not have any adversaries in his way. He's become fully corrupted by the end of the movie, and throughout the movie, he has a love crush on this Lucy character, Lucy Gray. Rachel Zegler, she does a good job here. Her acting performance is good, and she's a pretty girl. She was good in Shazam. I know she's been saying a lot of stupid crap with the whole Snow White movie and everything getting ready to come out. But as far as her performance goes, she's good here, and she is pretty. She's easy on the eyes. She's a good-looking woman. The guy who plays Snow, like I said, he does a good job. He's the most interesting character, but at the same time, well, I wouldn't say the most. Well, yeah, he's the most interesting character because he gets the most to do. But at the same time, I feel dramatically they probably could have done a little bit more with him. They focused on him at the beginning or whatever, showing that he's poor and all that, and his family used to have money. And basically, he's just been taught since he was a kid that his family should be all powerful and rich and famous or whatever. So he's basically wanting to amass power and come to that because that's what he's been taught. And you also get the idea that he also has goodness in him and that he could go either way. But because of what he's been taught since his youth, that he's pretty much become corrupted, and that by the end he's going to choose to go the evil direction. By the end of the movie, he eventually helps out the Lucy Gray or whatever character survived the Hunger Games by rigging it to where these poisonous snakes won't bite her at the end when they all get unleashed on all the contestants. When Viola Davis's character just says the hell with it and just decides to try to take everybody out. But he rigs it by putting her scent on this handkerchief that she gave him or whatever inside the snake tank, and that causes the snakes not to bite her. This is pretty cool little scene. I'll say some of the singing or whatever in the movie and all that, it does get to be a little much because I'm not I like musicals, but at the same time I'm not a huge musical fan, so it did start to become a little much. By the time you get to the end, they're pretty much going to run off together, and she starts to distrust Snow, because throughout the movie she talks about how she cares more about trust than she does love. You get the idea that she does love the Snow, or at least that she really cares about him, and that they would be a couple if he wouldn't lie to her, basically, and that he would just go with her. She basically just wants to run off and go live off in the woods in the mountains somewhere, or just go to another continent or whatever or something. And she wants him to come with her. But at the end, she discovers pretty much that she discovers that he lied about he actually killed another person who was his friend. He set him up basically so he could have, because his friend wanted to like help out some of the people who were like contestants or whatever, or other people who were like in the poor parts of the other districts, escape basically from the evil rule of the capital. And he recorded his friend, and he used that to like turn him in so he could get so he could be killed basically for it. Like Snow was like trying to do different things to like cover all his basics because he wasn't sure exactly where he wanted to go, whether or not he wanted to run off with Lucy character, whether or not he wanted to amass power and continue to do that and return back to regular society. And so by the end, of course, he chooses to return back to regular society and amass power. So he calls his friend to be killed, which you can see that he feels sorry about. So they do have that humanity there for the character. But by the end, of course, Lucy or whatever figures out that he, lied to her, and she betrays him and takes off on her own and leaves a snake there, or whatever, as something to slow him down. And he gets bit by it but doesn't die, and he starts shooting aimlessly or whatever, blindingly into the woods, trying to take her out when she's singing, and these birds like record her voice so he can't tell where it's coming from, which are like the mocking jays or whatever from the other movies, I believe. Yeah, the end does kind of peter out a little bit. Like I would have liked like a final like scene between Snow and the Lucy Gray character or whatever. I would have liked like a final confrontation between them before she just took off, because she just kind of just disappears at the end. And I get what's going on here, but I would have liked something there a little bit more, like a final character confrontation. Overall weaknesses for the film, like I've already mentioned, stuff that I had a problem with that, and the movie's a prequel, so automatically you know how this is going to end. So when you're like, if you're watching the movie and you're somebody who's like rooting for like Snow and this character to get together and all that, because you want it to be like a happy ending for him and him to like, learn his lesson and not resort to just wanting power and everything and go off with this girl, you're like, this is not going to happen. So it makes it feel a little uneventful because you know where this is going. That's always a problem with prequels, and it's no better here. So overall, 3.5 out of 4. Pretty good movie. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.